Welcome to another edition of Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. Notice, in accordance with new copyright regulations, this episode of Quoth Raven is intended for ages 16 and up. While some of the content will feature is kid-friendly, the context of the episodes will address adults to inform them of said content for them to research as consumers in service of their youth. In other words, parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers, librarians, etc. There is the possibility of adult language present on the episode as well. Rated TV 16 and up. How you guys doing? It's Lewis Bright Raven, 27-year veteran of the comic book, role-playing game, science fiction, and fantasy fiction communities as a writer, artist, and editor. And one of our regulars, John Norris, says hello. How you doing, John? Hope you're having a good day today. Let's go ahead and let you guys know this is the last episode of the year for our regular show. There'll be a couple of more live draws in the after Christmas presentation for introduction to season 3, and that's about it for the rest of the year. But we're gonna do basically a year overview today and see what we've learned from the past year, the year of COVID, shall we say. Alrighty. Before we do that, let's go ahead and get to our questions. We got quite a few of them this week. Our first question is, from several people, are you excited for all the Marvel and Star Wars shows that are coming out in 2021 and 2022? Truth be told, I'm indifferent because I don't have Disney Plus. I'm sure if I had Disney Plus, I would be pretty excited to see a lot of this stuff. I've seen a lot of reviews or previews, for the products. I did think that Marvel's What If should be live action, but knowing how expensive live action would be, it's okay if they're doing it animated. That stuff, the stuff I saw over there on that particular program are interesting. I'm sort of interested in seeing what they do with Falcon and Winter Soldier eventually. WandaVision, not so much. Not that it's bad. It's just I'm kind of like, whatever. The Star Wars stuff, I really haven't got enough of a connection to it because I haven't watched Mandalorian to really get a sense of where they're going with all of that at this point. But I can understand why people are excited about it. And I'm sure if I had Netflix and Disney Plus and other things going on that a lot of people have, that I'd probably be looking forward to it as well. Mm-hmm. Next question. Waki, that's John Wykout, fellow anchor, asks, have you been watching the various pro wrestling shows of late with Kenny Omega as the new AEW champion and also working at Impact Wrestling and the return of Sting at AEW? If so, what are your thoughts? Well, Waki knows that Sting's one of my favorite wrestlers. But yes, I'm following AEW a little bit as of late. A little bit of WWE, but I don't know. Sting, 61, 62 years old, really has no business being out there. And so far what they've done with him is like he comes out and waves his bat around like an old person, get off my line. I'm going to hit you with my bat. And everybody just runs. And I'm waiting for him to actually do something. I don't even know if he can, though, given his health. He retired a few years ago due to a severe neck injury he sustained in a match, and I just it's interesting, but it's there. Hello, Mark. Andrew Smith. Good to see you here as well. But that's basically the wrestling thing. It's there. But it's better than it was earlier in the year. I don't like the WWE stuff going on. I think nobody else is either. Apparently, they had their lowest recorded ratings ever last week for Raw. So I guess that kind of dictates what's going on there. Maybe, I don't know. But I guess I miss New Japan wrestling more than anything else. But that's neither here nor there. Next question. Dave Hyatt asks, have you heard about the possibility that Random House is going to get a license to make and distribute DC graphic novels? What do you think this will do to DC Comics? Yes, I have read that. It's not a rumor. It's pretty much something that's in the works, or if it hasn't already been signed. I don't think it's going to really do anything to DC Comics per se. They'll be overseeing, along with Random House, certain types of product that goes more towards what Random House wants to sell to the teen and YA audience, more so than the standard fare comics. I don't think it's going to really do anything to DC per se. It's more of a question of whether or not they can figure out a means to do enough product that sells consistently enough that maybe a few years up the road, if they've built an audience that's sustainable through bookstores and through schools, then maybe things will change, but not in the immediate future. Next question is also from Dave. Did you and John Norris ever talk about the Swamp Thing series? I can't find it in any of the videos. No, unfortunately, John hasn't finished watching Swamp Thing yet. Have you, John? I'm still waiting on John. And by the time John finishes, I'll probably have to do a rewatch myself. It's been so long since I've watched it. Yeah, I think if we weren't in a COVID environment, John and I would just sit down and do a live reaction to the thing as we played it on video or something, but I don't know. And at this point, since it's already 2 years old, it's kind of like, I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see if we can get around to it early next year. Next question. Several people ask, are you going to do any store or convention appearances in 2021, or are you still going to stay home due to coronavirus? Well, I just did a store appearance last weekend. Obviously, I'd like to do some stuff, but it really just depends on the situation. I do have a disabled parent. I promise I will watch Swamp Thing to the end. Yeah. All right. But anyway, yes. As far as the store appearances, I don't have everything scheduled yet. But like I said, I got a disabled parent, and he's more susceptible to COVID than others. And so me going to out-of-state shows or something like that really isn't on the table right now, but we'll see what goes on as far as local, within an hour or two drive, maybe, um, that I can do on my own or something. Then we'll see what we can do next year. Okay. And we'll do a lot more, I guess you could say, interactive online sales stuff as well, um, on the channel. So that'll be on Facebook and YouTube at the same time next year. So that'll be part of season 3's activities. Our next question. It's from Angela. Did you ever get your new glasses? She keeps asking about this because she wants to see what they look like. Monday. They just came in today. The second set of frames that they were waiting on, those have been cut and made. I couldn't get to the store today. I can't go tomorrow. They're closed on the weekend, so Monday's the soonest I can get them. So Monday afternoon, I go in and they're gonna cut the lenses for these frames and my other frames I have, and hopefully everything will go smoothly then. Next question is from Miguel Esser in Illinois. Are you going to do a top 10 list of comics and/or graphic novels for 2020? The answer to that is no, and the reason why will be pretty evident when I get into the statistics for the channel for this year. There's a lot of stuff I read and reviewed, and I just don't. And there's a lot of stuff that I haven't gotten to yet. Won't have time to get to through the end of the year. That might have made a top 10 list if I had a chance to read it. So, we'll get into that a little bit later, but no. Anonymous asks, what are you looking forward to for Christmas, as in terms of presents or stuff like that? Truth be told, not really getting a lot this year. I've got like over 100 comic books and graphic novels I need to read. Some videos I got to watch. I'm getting my glasses, so it's kind of that sort of a thing. As far as looking, I just don't know. I guess the most, John and I are going to meet on Monday evening for dinner, and I don't know what's all going there. I know I've got stuff to give to him, but whatever. It's just kind of I won't call it a blah year, but it's 2020. You know what? What can you say? Next question. Anonymous asks, how come you don't appear more often on other people's podcasts? And that's a fair question. There's two main reasons. One is I'm not being asked to, and the other reason is because for the few people who have asked me, or people who I've been suggested to go appear on, it would be more beneficial to wait until I have a product to market other than just the podcast. And I don't have product ready this year. And so there's that problem, basically. And once I get some new books ready and stuff, then I'll probably see what I can do to get on other people's shows more consistently and stuff like that. That's part of the plan for next year as well. Our next question is, whatever happened to the t-shirts that were announced, from Anonymous? And that's also a good question, and that's my fault. I didn't realize it was going to be this much of a problem. I just was not happy with either of the two sites. I wasn't getting the level of production value I wanted. And I don't know if that's them or me yet. And I shouldn't have announced it until I was sure I had a product that I was satisfied with. So that's on me. And so I mea culpa on that. And we'll try to get that straightened out and have everything ready before I announce that product again. Another question from another anonymous party. Do you miss the 1990s when you were putting comics out regularly? And do you think you could ever reach that level of production again? Yeah, I miss it, of course. Made a lot of money. um, but that was a different time, different circumstances. Could I reach that level of production again? Not in the same way I did in the 90s. Comics are somewhat of a young man's game in a sense. Um, I don't think I could write and draw multiple books a month like I did in back then. Partly because back then I was too naive to know better and just pushed myself constantly. And my body could take it. It can't do that now, unfortunately. The other thing is, marketing and distribution is different now than what it was in the 90s. Um, I was in a circumstance where I could go on campuses and promote direct to people face to face. And that's not the circumstance now, not just because of COVID, but because of a multitude of reasons. And so there's that dynamic that changes things. And I also had a lot of other people that I was, connected with in the 90s, with the Comic Artists Press Alliance at Central Michigan University, and all the books that all of us were doing, and being able to market all those books together made a huge difference in how I could market my product. Whereas today, if I was marketing myself, unless Mark and I and Armand, his collaborator on Gladstones, and Aaron Lepresti and Carl Kiesel and Ron Randall and everybody that I know pretty much, Jason McNamara, Bob France, everybody who's basically been on this show in the last year. If we all got together collectively and marketed each other's books and were able to ship each other's books all over the place, maybe. But even then, it's still not the same thing because what we're doing with crowdfunding and online marketing and online distribution is a different animal than what I was doing back then. So could I reach that level? I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I'm not sure I know how to get around how to change the dynamic to make that work the same. That's something that will be discussed more in season 3. Mark will be on later about that. Not tonight, but in season 3, we'll talk about that. And I'm gonna try and get Aaron and Carl and Ron and a bunch of other people on the show to discuss that subject of comics distribution and forming that situation, because a lot of people are talking about forming new publishers, and I don't think that forming a new publisher is the answer so much as the distribution side of it. Arlene Atkins-Zells has joined us. Hello, Arlene. Another question we have this week. Multiple parties have asked me, what would you be doing as a career if the comics bug had not bitten you? Do you think you would still be working as an artist or writer? Absolutely. In some ways, I might even be more productive. Before I got into the comics side of things, I was writing short fiction and novels, and I was writing and working in role-playing game industry as well. So that's probably where I would have wound up, is in that more focused. That's kind of a weird situation too, because the change of how things have gone from tabletop gaming to collectible card gaming, and how that that shift and that over in that area kind of forced me over to comics more, because even though I was still in comics at that time, I made more money in RPG work early on, as far as working with other companies. And then the collectible card games came along in the mid 90s, early to mid 90s. And I don't want to say I lost interest, but it was not my thing. I was more of a traditional tabletop pen and paper dice gamer. And artistically, there was a lot of people that were doing traditional painting and other things that I was not really into at that time. So I kind of got passed by in that respect. So I don't know. I probably would have had to adapt more to stay relevant in that side of it, I guess, if comics weren't there. But I would still found work in the creative arts one way or another. I think that's all of our questions. It is. So if you have questions, email them to quotheravenlbr72@gmail.com, subject QTR questions, and please indicate whether or not you want your name and locale read on air. Okay. Now, to get back to Miguel's question of the top 10 and why I'm not doing it, I'm going to go a little review over all my stuff that I did this past year on the channel. We had 53 episodes of the regular weekly thing, weekly episodes of the show, and then the Booktober event, which was another 30 episodes. So say 83 episodes total. There were 382 different comic series and or graphic novels reviewed, 108 different Kickstarter or Indiegogos previewed or reviewed. So that right there is 490. That was what was reviewed. Plus I have another 100 books that I bought this year that were not reviewed. So, because I didn't get to them. So we're talking 500 plus books for the year, and over 52 weeks. So it's an average of around 10 books a week I was reading this year. There were 18 different movies and or TV shows that were reviewed at some point or other during the year, and 13 different guests appeared on the show. That's something that will be increasing next year. Overall, there were 101 episodes. The average viewers per episode was only 9.33. That's not very many, unfortunately. I need to get more viewers on the show, folks. I don't know. But the average time per episode was 1 hour and 45 minutes and 18 seconds. And the average time watched per person, per viewer per episode was only 27 minutes and 3 seconds. What does this mean? Well, basically it means that most people either just watch my question and answer segment and then go away, or they watch when I have a guest and they ignore the rest of the show. That seems to be my best estimate based on what I'm seeing. And that's why we had that State of the Union, State of the Show address a couple weeks back, and I asked you guys about different things that you guys wanted to see changes, and that's why there will be a complete change in the format in season 3 in 2021, and that will be hopefully a live draw every week, and there will be reviews, but there won't be as many. And it won't be on the regular weekly show. It'll be its own separate segment. I'll probably let people know what I bought that week on the regular weekly show. since it'll still be airing on Thursdays now. I've got my books on Wednesday, but I don't know if I doubt I'll be doing reviews in the same way that I did previously. I think what I'll do is I'll just cut the reviews to like a 15 to 20-minute segment separate from the regular show. And then the regular live show on Thursdays will hopefully be roundtable discussions with other guests so we can talk about different things. And that's the plan for next year as far as that goes so far. Money spent on comics in 2020 came out to $4,138.23 on 472 books purchased. The other, I told you, I had 500 plus. You got to remember, I got some books from the library as well this year, so that's where I got the 500 plus books from. Average price per item was $8.76. What does that say about the state of our comics industry? Well, basically, what it says is the comics are just getting way too expensive for everybody to afford. At $8.75 a book, and that's just the average, whether that's trades, whether that's pamphlets, whatever, it averages out to $8.75 a book. The average movie ticket for an adult is $9.11. Okay, and that's sourced through three different places, but the main source I got it was from www.thenumbers.com. If a comic that, if you get a graphic novel, yeah, you're getting your money's worth at $8.75. But a lot of people are still getting these books at pamphlets at $3.99 to $5.99 a book. And they're not getting complete stories. They're not getting even complete stories after 4, 5, 6 issues. You get an arc done and the story's still not completed. You spent $20 on an arc and you're not getting a complete story. This is what's keeping audiences, new audiences, from entering the hobby, I think. At least with a movie, you buy it at $9, you're going to get a complete story at whatever movie you're going to. Whether it's an hour and a half, whether it's 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever length the movie is. And so I think that that's a big part of what's causing the problems with our industry in terms of building new audiences. And for some reason, the industry just doesn't want to accept the fact that this is supposed to be set up in different levels of tiers for different readerships. And we need to market them correctly towards those different readerships. And what I mean by that is comics done right, and I use right in quotations, should only be a maximum price point of $250 cover price. And when I'm saying comics, I'm referring to the 24 to 32 page pamphlet format. Now, whether you care to serialize a story or not, that's a publisher decision. But done right, in my opinion, is a self-contained story, because comics were meant to be an impulse purchase, not an obsessive compulsive hobby that it's become. And as we've pandered to the hobbyist over the last few decades, we have lost the mass market as a result. And I think what we've learned through what's gone on with COVID, with comic books being shut down temporarily, with the stores being shut down temporarily, with DC jumping from Diamond to try and find their own distribution, just all the weird scenarios, the rise of crowdfunding, the deflation of crowdfunding, the um, the comeback, if you will, of Kickstarter, because Kickstarter was doing very miserably in the second and third quarter of this year, and then came back in the late third and early fourth quarter, according to Publishers Weekly and a few other sources. That resulted in my looking at it as people are looking for content, but they want something that is A, affordable, and B, a one-time purchase without further commitments. And like I said, comics used to be the impulse purchase you could get without further commitment, or you could buy regularly and follow the story or stories, if you will, when comic books were still affordable. While we certainly got into serialization around the late 60s, early 70s, and the beginning of the Marvel Age, if you will, it really didn't get into expansive serialization until we got into the direct market era of the early 80s. And it's been since the early 80s that we've had diminished returns in our readership. And we need to find a way to get product that can get people to buy both impulse and not have to worry about the further commitment, but also be good enough, strong enough to get people to want to buy more. And that's not an easy task to be done, but that's what I think we need to be looking forward towards solving in 2021. And I don't know if that's the direction that the industry is going to go, unfortunately. I think the industry instead is going to go more towards the YA novels, the YA graphic novels. Like I said, DC just did their deal with Random House. I don't know if it's going to come at the expense of serialized or pamphlet comics. It may very well be that case, but we'll have to wait and see. As we've seen, publishers are jumping more along the standalone graphic novel in format, often abandoning the serialized formats even in mid-publication, subsequently screwing their readers who are buying serialized chapters by forcing them to buy the story a second time. That happened a lot this year because of COVID, partly, but also because just books falling off the schedules. Let's see, The Clock from Matt Hawkins and Colleen Doran went that way. Tomorrow from Dark Horse went that way. Starship Down went that way from Dark Horse. House of Whispers was never finished. DC dropped the last two issues, never released the last two issues, just went straight to trade on the last. So for people like me who had been buying it in singles, we had to buy 7 or 8 issues twice, equivocally. Let's see. I had like 6 or 7 other examples this year where I had to buy the same story twice because I had been getting it in singles, and then COVID came along and they canceled the singles and then re-released it in trades later. So, I don't know if this is a trend that's going to start leading people towards straight to the trade or what in 2021, because we may go through another a period like we did in the beginning of the COVID situation here this year. In 2021, we might go through another surge where stores are closed temporarily. It's a scary thought because we don't want to have to go through that again. But, I don't see the way our society is operating. I don't see the way the supposed vaccine that's being developed or has been developed. I don't see us everybody getting it, getting it circulated through the population that quickly that it will prevent the possibility of another surge in 2021. So I would rather err on the side of caution and assume it will happen, unfortunately. And like I said, this means that, they seem to, this makes people, audiences that have been buying the singles, feel abused and taken advantage of by publishers. And again, the publishers seem to think this means the answer is to go to original graphic novel format and market to non-specialty store markets. I don't agree. I think the answer is to cut down redundant books, and event storylines that feature the same character properties, and make a standard line of titles that feature self-contained storylines, monthly, short stories, and then have longer arc stories done in the original graphic novel format. And the single stories be done at affordable price points. Again, I would say $2.50 cover price is the ceiling. Again, I don't think the industry is going to move that forward in that manner, but that's what I would. I think that's what I learned from this year, based on the things I experienced as a reader and the panicking that everything that people went through due to COVID, and what retailers were saying they couldn't afford due to the restrictions imposed upon them by COVID. I think it would have been better because then, with the self-contained issues, if we had such things, even if they didn't have the books or the stores open, you wouldn't have to worry about the natural, what's the word I'm looking for? Attrition from issue to issue as sales drop from issue to issue, as people lose interest in the story arcs and in the continuing story. You could always have every book be a jumping on or jumping off point for anybody. And I think that'd be more beneficial overall. That was our friend Tracy Hollingsworth. He was just answering something from me. For those of you who don't know Tracy, Tracy is a friend of John Norris and mine, and he works at our local comic book record shop, Scratch and Spin, over in West Columbia, South Carolina. And his truck broke down recently, and I didn't know that. And I know different places he works because he works multiple jobs, and I hadn't seen the truck around. And I thought that maybe he caught COVID or something because I hadn't seen him around. I hadn't seen the vehicle around at work. And fortunately, it was just his truck broke down and he was using his wife's vehicle instead. So, that's the good news there. But he's still working and stuff. And so it was just I hadn't seen him and was checking on him, and he just got back to me. So what do you folks think about what I've said so far tonight? Do you agree with some of my viewpoints or disagree? Go ahead and give me some feedback. What do you think, Mark? I know you're there. Do you think that the serialized books are going to, or the single standalone stories are going to be beneficial more than going serialization? I know you just did the release for your solo stories for the Gladstone School kids, Ghost Girl and Mummy Girl, Flip Book, and Martian Jones and the Skull Brothers. And no, I haven't got around to reading them yet. I did get them in the mail, but I haven't had a chance to read them. John Norris says, when I was reading comics regularly, one of the reasons I liked reading all ages stuff was because the stories were self-contained. Or well, he said self. He said wealth, but he meant self. Yeah, I think that's true. For those who don't know, John, he was reading all ages, but he was reading those Marvel Adventures books that were done a few years back, instead of the regular Marvel titles. And I read some of them. He lent some of them to me, and I wasn't sold on them as much. But I think the reason I wasn't sold on them was more or less the creators. A lot of those books were done more by the new kids, so on the block, so to speak, and weren't done by the veterans. And I think the veterans should be doing the self-contained because they know it, they know the format better. Or I think a mixture of old and new creators, not just the new creators doing the self-contained, because I don't really think the self-contained, the newer people who don't have as much experience at storytelling know that format well enough to do it well. That was one of the flaws I saw in that, but absolutely. I think that's also one of the reasons why it didn't succeed for Marvel, was they didn't have they had all the new guys on those books instead of the veterans. And the other thing was they were trying to market it as something that was for younger ages when it really wasn't necessarily for younger ages. A lot of that stuff I felt was more, well, it was certainly um, all ages content. It was more geared to appeal to olders, older readers as well, because a lot of us older readers were getting tired of the never-ending bullshit saga. Pardon my language. Mark Andrew Smith says, I like them and it's less commitment. I think that I presume that's in reference to those flip books. I think that's true. I think you're not committing yourself so much for such a long period of time, story-wise. And you don't have to run the risk of, like when you have to do with, like a lot of these guys are doing longer books to make it worth the money for crowdfunding. And then their books are funded, but then they're still funding it for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 months. And the reason they're doing it is because the books aren't really done. And they kept adding pages and they kept adding stuff, and it takes time to get all that stuff produced. And I think that's, so they're still promoting, but they don't have the book ready. And I think that's less of a problem that the books are self-contained and short rather than the longer stuff. And I think that you can actually do a lot more individual short stories and then take the time to do your longer piece. You've built an audience up that will be more interested in that longer work, and you can market that better, in my opinion, that way. I could be wrong. And Arlene says, as a buyer and reader, I agree with your points. Well, okay, I appreciate that, Arlene. Hold on, I need something to drink. Getting a little bit dry throat. I think that that's another thing that I'm been debating with my own work for next year. A lot of people want the graphic novel from me, the stuff that they've been waiting for years, like Blake and Terror, and they want to see Spellseeker, which people need to stop asking me for Spellseeker. I don't have another artist for it yet. I'm not drawing that book. It was never meant to be drawn by me. Unfortunately, one guy got can't even think of what it's called. It's a disease you get when a tick bites you, and I can't think of what it's called. But it's like it's a nerve damaging thing, and he can't draw anymore. So I had to let him go, or he had to quit rather, unfortunately. And then the other artist, the late Matthew Kemmer, obviously is no longer with us. So I haven't found a replacement for Matt. And until I find a replacement for him and I can afford them, I'm not doing Spellseeker. Blake and Terror, the question becomes, do I do a short one-shot story that's shorter than the 200-page graphic novel, just as more of an introduction to the characters? Yeah, Lyme disease. Yeah, thank you. That's what I was trying to think of, Arlene. Thank you. And the person that we're talking about is not a young person anyway. That artist is, geez, how old is he now? Almost 70. So yeah, he's up there in years. He's been around a long time, so that's another reason why, even if he was healthy, I don't think he would want to commit to doing that book. But anyway, back to Blake and Terror. The Crystal Conspiracy is a 200-page plus book, and there's no way I can see that right now because I would have to crowdfund that for, I don't know. I just don't know how that's going to market out for that. So I'm thinking if I do a shorter book, like maybe a one shot issue, for the $250 price point plus shipping, maybe, or maybe a little bit longer book for a little bit more money. But if I do it for more money, I got to make it a longer book. Because like I said, I don't want to go above $250 cover price for my own book if I'm going to say that for everybody else. I certainly can't break my own price ceiling. But that's kind of where that's stationed at for right now. And the other book that's being talked about is the return of bringing back Adventures of Space as the Alien. And if I bring that back, that won't come back until at least middle of next year, maybe summer of next year at the soonest. And we're still talking about whether or not that should be a color or a black and white book, because originally it was black and white when I did it in the 90s. And it was kind of like this kids coloring book activity book back then. I don't know if I want to do that again. And if I don't, then I need to do the book in color, I think. So we're still debating that. But for those of you who don't remember what Spacey is, this is Spacey. And when I did him in the 90s, he was paired up with some kids, and they went around the galaxy going and visiting different planets, and it was kind of like a science factoid book, and I had crossword puzzles and word finds and mazes and other stuff in it as well, because it wasn't just a comic book, it was a coloring activity book. If I bring him back, it's going to be a completely different format without that extra stuff in it, so it'll be more of a straight up storytelling. And if I do that, I haven't decided if I'm going to just do him going out in outer space and having adventures in just alien worlds, or if I'm going to bring him back and have him be connected to the kids of the now grown up kids from the earlier series. I think I might just do the former because it's been 20 years since I did the old series, and there's no files for the old stuff. So without the old stuff, our new audience is going to want to see the parents. Do you understand what I'm getting at? There's all this backstory that they're not going to have access to. So do I just, since I'm rebooting the whole thing anyway, should I just toss out the backstory and just go something new? And that's what I'm kind of stuck with right now. So, do you guys want me to do the kids stuff again and have the parents there that are sort of the backstory? Or do you want me to just let him roam the galaxy and have his own adventures on his own? Hello. We have a guest of the furry variety. Come here. What you got to say? Well, got something to say there, buddy? You just want to be a center of attention. Like all animals. All of our pets want to be center of attention. What do you guys think of that on the Spacey situation? Yes, he's pretty, but he's also a monster. um, he scared the bejesus out of me last week, or not last, well, 2 weeks ago, I guess now, but he didn't really scare me. The situation did. Came home and found my front door open. My dad didn't lock it right, and the door was blown open and left open. We thought the cat got out of the house, and I was looking for him for hours outside, and he was hiding somewhere in the house. And when dinner time came, he came out to let everybody know he was here. But I've been out walking around the neighborhood looking for him for about 4 hours. Not fun. But that's what we're looking forward to in 2021 is me trying to get Blake and Tara and Spacey going at about midway through the year or summertime. And I just don't know if I'm going to do them. Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm still pretty sure I'm going to do the Blake and Tara as a solo one book. An introduction story before the Crystal Conspiracy graphic novel. Again, just to keep something more affordable, get something on that range where people aren't going to be having to invest a lot of money up front. The other thing is, if I do crowdfunding, everybody does a lot of big bonuses and stuff trying to entice readership. If I do that sort of thing, I'm just going to do a straight up fan club one shot. This is what you get thing, not tiers. Because I think it's better that way as a reader. Based on my own purchasing with the crowdfunding, I usually either buy just the book, or I buy a book with one item only, one extra bonus thing only. And I'd rather just have one extra bonus where I give you the book and whatever I'm giving you, or whether it's a collect. I'd probably do just like a fan club collection stuff with a card and a poster and a T-shirt or whatever. But we'll get to that when we get to that. And my cat decided to lay down in front of me. I just have to be careful with him because he likes to lay on the cords on the computer. I don't need him pulling the screen off the back of the desk. But what do you guys think about that with the just doing a one bonus for crowdfunding? Where you get everything, get the book plus whatever else you're going to get. Whether that's the trading card, it'll be a bunch of things. Like I said, it'd be a trading card, probably a poster and a T-shirt and the book, all 4 items for a set price. Or you could just get the book. And the other thing I wanted to think about was if I was going to get it where I could do books on a regular monthly basis, was get people to buy a subscription to all 12 issues, like a normal mail order subscription used to be, where you buy it for $30 a year and get a book shipped monthly. But I don't know how people would react to that because it's been, most people don't remember subscriptions. I hate to say that, but it seems like they don't. They bought comics in comic shops all their lives and they never bought them by mail order. So I don't really know how they'd react to that. That works for me. Which one works for you, John? All of it? None of it? Something works. You think the 30 a year for 12 issues, or? Because that's kind of what I want to do, is like get it set up where I can start doing it, like maybe do the introductory, one shots, and for Blake and Terror, the crowdfunding. What I mean is, if I do crowdfunding, I remember love that. Okay, yeah. What I meant by that, John, was if I do the crowdfunding for the book, it's going to be like a $2.50 book plus shipping. Well, in a lot of cases, shipping is actually going to cost more than the book, so you're going to want more than just the book. So if I do the book, a trading card, a poster, and a T-shirt for a set amount of money, say it'd probably be around $30 for all of that, because the T-shirt's probably going to cost me around $15 to $20 to get. Then the T-shirt, then the book's $250. That's $22.50. Trading card and a poster, production, shipping, everything. It's going to basically either. I'm probably going to make very little money profit on that, to be honest. But it depends on where I get my stuff printed. As Mark Andrews Smith says, you remember Marvel, and well, DC did it too, but yeah, subscriptions, that's what I kind of want to do, is that situation where I can do it where you get 12 books up front, or 6, if I did it like bi-monthly, but just make it affordable so that the books are at a lower price point. I don't know if I want to go the alternate route and go newsprint, or if I want to keep them on a good Baxter paper, or glossy stock paper that would warrant $250. But I want to get it in that range of like $21 to $30 a year for 12 issues. And then if they wanted the T-shirt and the poster and all the other good stuff, that would be a fan club membership, and it would be like $50 for the year, and you get all 12 issues and the extra stuff. That's what I'm thinking about doing if I crowdfund. But, you know, I'm just trying to figure out the dynamics of that because I've looked at a lot of other people's stuff and I just don't know. Because a lot of people end up doing multiple covers, which I think is silly. They end up doing all this extra stuff just trying to get readership, get backers. And I'm looking at the backer numbers on people's campaigns, even the really super successful campaigners, and I'm not really seeing the numbers that, is it just me that I'm thinking they're charging too much, or is it just the situation that we have to charge that much because of all the costs of shipping and production? Because that's kind of like what we're looking at, and not just for me, but I'm looking at it as, I'm looking at, Aaron Lopresti didn't even get his Garbage Man book um, backed last year. Quite a few other people that I knew who were established creators did not get their books backed last year. And then there's people who did get their stuff backed. Carl Kiesel and Tom Gremick got Section 0959 backed late last year, and it's still not out yet. And part of it, again, is that whole thing of getting everything ready now that you've got it funded and getting it out there. I don't know if that's the money situation or what. But that's people been asking me why I'm kind of down on crowdfunding. This is my whole hang up with it. I'm not really sure what to do about it. I'd rather just straight up offer the subscriptions, but I just don't know. I mean, it worked well when I did it before, but that was a different time. People knew what the subscription system was back in the 90s. It was still going on. Subscriptions really aren't a thing anymore in the mainstream market. I don't know if younger audiences will really be able to make that connection the same as what they have with the crowdfunding. So maybe I should do a little bit of both. I don't know. Do the crowdfunding and then offer the others straight up. I don't know. We'll see. But that's what we're looking at for the future. And, I'm looking forward to seeing other stuff like Carl Kiesel's Impossible Jones is supposed to be coming soon. Still waiting on the poster from Mark and Armand the one I did with the Martian Jones. Unfortunately, Armand had to send it out separately from the books because it's bigger than the other stuff. So he's sending that out separately from the books, and he's getting the books out to everybody else first, which he should do that. That's not a problem. I'm trying to think of what else I've got. So much stuff coming in mail. It's not even funny. I know Flesk is sending me like 2 or 3 books, Flesk Publications. I think it's Al Williamson book and it might be 2 Al Williamson books and a Mark Schultz book. So, I got those coming. I've got 2 or 3 other books coming as well. So that's, but buying those are like huge books. I mean, they're like 200-page books for $40-50. That's worth the money. But, you just got to do what you got to do. We'll figure it out. That's pretty much it for this week. Didn't really have a chance to read anything. Arlene says, Well, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I know those things existed, but you know, it just seems like from what I've seen used and utilized, especially within comics, that has been so underutilized that it's like, well, maybe that specific audience isn't connecting, isn't making the connection like I thought they would. Um, but maybe that's it. We need to do you know subscription boxes. I mean, there was one thing that was a comic subscription box deal recently, um, where you buy a subscription and they send you a box every month or every week, but you don't know what you're getting. I think it's like whatever swag they put in the box, and you got some Marvel stuff and some DC stuff, or from Image and Dark Horse, whatever was supposed to be the hot commodity thing that they ordered from those groups. I think that's the only thing I've seen in comics done. I can't remember what that's called. And I'm not even sure they do that anymore. I know it was popular a couple of years ago, but I haven't really seen that swag box the same lately. But yeah, I mean, I've actually seen crowdfunding for that kind of subscription box type thing. I've backed a couple of them from England when I was doing the oh geez, um, those little mini comics I bought and reviewed back in October, I think it was when I got them. That was a swag box. So it's not that it's not there. I just don't see it enough to I wonder, um, based on what I'm seeing being popularized. And then again, what's being popularized is really not so much what's popular or good. It's just what's getting the hype and what's getting the media attention more than anything else. So I guess we just have to figure out how to get media attention on other things, I guess. But yeah, it's stuff for me to think about and discuss, and that'll be stuff that we'll be talking about more at length in season 3 on the show with our guests in the future, because I want to, it's not just something that I need to think about for my stuff. I mean, it's stuff that Mark and Armand need to think about for Gladstones. It's stuff that Aaron Lopresti and Ron Randall and Carl and pretty much anybody who's been a guest on my show. It's stuff for us, that all of us, to think about, and it's stuff for other creators that I'm hoping to get on the show next year, in the near future, to discuss as well. Because I think if we all start doing something where we're all consistently offering similar things, different enough, for our own individual uniqueness, and to offer things somebody else isn't offering, but similar enough to that there's a means that audiences can get on board with all of us at the same time, or even where we can cross over and sell each other's products a lot easier than we had been able to. I think that would be more beneficial for everyone in the long run. But hold on a second. What's going on here? Oh, okay. Alrighty. Yeah, it's pretty weird though. So that's pretty much what I'm looking forward to in next year, talking about that stuff and trying to find some solutions and get some product out there, and hopefully you'll all be there to help me along, and as I go through the growing pains and get through this stuff and get it out there finally, because I know a lot of people are looking for it. I just don't know. When I do put the stuff out there, hopefully it'll be people be worth the wait. All right, then. I think that'll be pretty much it for tonight. And I'll see you guys on this weekend for the live draw. I'll be doing the Elektra as Daredevil character that I promised last weekend that I just didn't get to do, unfortunately, due to basically not feeling well and having other things happen where I didn't have time to go and do it. So if you guys want to reach me, you can reach me at Facebook at Lewis.BrightRaven, on Twitter at LewisBrightRav2, DeviantArt.com/BrightRaven. You have a blessed night and a blessed weekend, Arlene. DeviantArt.com/BrightRaven. Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven here on YouTube. You can reach me on email at quothravenlbr72@gmail.com or lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. The podcast is regularly on Thursdays at 9 p.m. And I think I'll do it. I just got to get this silly computer to do what it's supposed to do, and it doesn't want to. It always does that to me. All right, folks. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. And, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed our channel discussion and our topic of the night, or, everything. And let folks know that I'm around so I can get some more viewers on the show. Okay? See you guys next time.